Hi, it's Jo Martin here. I'm the founder of One of Many, and a lot of our work coaching and training women leaders is in helping them to become more powerful, more charismatic, have gravitas, confidence, and be able to step into the leadership that they've been called to, whether that be a promotion inside of their organization or wanting to evolve themselves. Now, in order to understand power and how to be more powerful, we need to understand its opposite. What does disempowerment look like? And one of the ways that we tend to do this a little here at One of Many is using something we call archetypes. Now, you may have seen some of my other videos about the 5 women's power types, but today I want to talk about 3 disempowering archetypes that we can sometimes find ourselves in that are not helpful or conducive to being able to get done what we want to do in the world. Now, it's a little triad here that sometimes show up when we have been burning the candle at both ends for a little bit too long. The first one that often shows up is bitch. And you know her, right? You've been working late, you missed lunch, you had something else land on your plate, and then someone does something silly and you turn into a bitch with one of your colleagues, or you get home and you take it out shouting at your kids or your partner. This is a disempowering archetype of bitch, and she's falling back onto an old paradigm way of grabbing power back in a way to ameliorate fear or anger or resentment. She's blaming other people and taking it out on other people. It doesn't actually help, and it very rarely gets the management outcome that you want, right? Especially if you're a leader. The next, if there's a bitch, there's usually someone who's being the victim somewhere around. Now, many of us can become the victim too. So this is something we see is very common. If someone gets into bitch because they've just got to overwhelm, and then off the back of that, they often then feel very much disempowered by their own behavior. Victim can look in the workplace like someone who's feeling powerless, who always has excuses for why they can't do something. Yeah, I think that's a good strategy, but I'm just not sure it's going to work because X and Y and Z. They're in an awkward relationship with someone inside the office, where whenever that person comes into the space, they kind of lose their voice, they shrink, they retire, they don't speak up for themselves. And there's a real sense of, just powerlessness around them. You might notice someone like that in your own life, or you might notice that it's a disempowering archetype that you go into sometimes. Your manager might walk in and there's one more reason why, oh God, here we go again. Oh, the leadership at the top of the problem. Oh, there's nothing we can do about it. Oh God, I try so hard, but there's nothing I can do. You might find yourself going home and speaking to your partner about all of the ways that, oh, it's too hard. You, my darling, would be in victim mode at that point if you're feeling that all of the power rests with other people or other situations. And then another disempowering archetype which shows up oftentimes is what we call the martyr. Now, martyr, if you think about martyrs in times of old, they sacrificed themselves. And in modern days, this looks a lot like women and men, for that matter, sacrificing themselves, trying to do everything. This is my go-to, martyr. When I'm not in a good place, I tend to go to martyr. And I have been known to have martyr offs with people in my organization. No, I'll stay back late and do it. No, I will. No, I will. I am the most martyred here. I'm going to stay back and do this and get this thing done. Somehow thinking that if we sacrifice the most, that will eventually get recognized. What usually happens for the martyr, if she sacrifices over and over again, tries to be the one giving to everybody else, she's got no boundaries, she doesn't know how to say no. This martyr will often build up resentment, and you know what happens when a martyr builds up resentment? She often turns into the bitch. And it then becomes a bit of a cycle. We at other people, and then we feel so bad about it. We go home and there's like, oh my God, everything's so hard and I can't do anything and I'm turning into a bitch and it's not fair. I'm horrible. I'm such a horrible person. We're in victim. And then we think the only way to do anything about it is to then do even more and show how even more committed. So you can see how it's not just we'll often have one that we go to as our poison of choice, as we call it here at One of Many. We cheekily call it our poison of choice. For me, it's certainly Martyr, but we all do all of them. The point here is to recognize that if you are in any one of these three modes, you are not being powerful. Bitch is blaming other people. So the power for the situation is with other people. Victim is blaming situations and other people as well. They're like, I don't have any power, it's all with somebody else. Martyr is, martyr's sense of power is also with other people, sacrificing for others. Each one of them, the power center is outside, which is why at One of Many we talk about the 5 women's power types, ways that you can take power back and be of agency and of impact in the world. So look out for my other videos where we go in and have a look at those. But for today, in the comments, I would love to know, hey, what's your poison of choice? When you've been burning the candle at both ends for too long, or you know you're not at your best, because let's face it, there are times we're at our best and times where we're not. When you're not at your best, which of these disempowering archetypes do you go into? Perhaps you'd be brave enough to share a particular example about where it happened for you recently and what the impact was for you and for the others around you when you were in that mode. If this has a resonance for you and you think that there's someone you care about that could learn something from understanding a little more about the disempowering archetypes, please do share this video with them. It'd be great to have them in the community too. And like it if you'd like to hear more for us. Look out for other videos on the women's power types too. So let me know your poison of choice.